Manchester United expecting to advance in deals for Manuel, Ugarte and Denzel Dumfries this week. Harry Maguire comes out publicly saying that he's staying at the club this summer and that Manchester United apparently don't want him to leave. These are some of the stories we will be discussing on this morning's show. But before we get into that, please smash a like on today's video. Let's try and see 1,000 likes on this episode. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe to the channel. I'm live every single day at 8:30, 1:30 and 6. If you want to keep up to date with all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk, this is the best way to do it. Make sure you get involved. Everyone is welcome. Right. So much to get into on the show again today, but I want to start off by talking about Manuel Ugarte and also talking about Jo Neves, because I did a video last night talking a little bit about this. It was quite a late video, so it was only very short, and I want to go into it in a little bit more detail and depth. And as always, I like to get other people's opinions and see what people think. So I would like to know how people feel about the Jo Neves situation. So I'll give you the context first, and then you can give me your thoughts. So as of last night, Fabrizio Romano confirmed that apparently PSG have agreed a deal with Benfica for Jo Neves. And we all know that Jo Neves is one of Manchester United's #1 targets. We've been wanting to sign him for years. We see him as a generational talent who could, be part of our team for the next decade, right? He is a very, very good player, Jo Neves, 19 years of age. Obviously had an amazing season at Benfica. We thought he was going to cost 120 million euros. That was his release clause, which, let's be honest, is ridiculous. But PSG have managed to agree a deal for only 70 million euros, which is about 59 million pounds. Now, the question I have for you is this. Should Manchester United try and hijack that deal? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'd love to know what other Man United fans have to say, because I did a video last night, as I said, and the reaction was crazy. Like, there were so many people getting their comments in saying, why are we not going for Jo Neves? Like, what's going on? Some people were really, really upset that effectively we are giving PSG the money. We are facilitating them to be able to go and buy Jo Neves. We'll talk about Manuel Ugarte in a minute, but they're only getting him for 70 million euros, which is a very, very small amount of money. Now, in all fairness, Renato Sanchez is apparently moving from PSG to Benfica as part of the deal, so they are getting him. I don't know how much Renato Sanchez is worth in the current market. He's one of those players that seems to have been around for ages, isn't he? Renato Sanchez. I'd say maybe, 20 million, 30 million? Let's have a look what his value... Oh, I mean, not even. On transfer market, he's valued at 6 million, so I'm probably thinking of the old Renato Sanchez. But yeah, I just wanted to get you guys' thoughts on it. Obviously, we did this video last night, and the reaction was crazy. Like, people were getting quite worked up about it, saying, PSG are playing us, they fooled us, they're giving us to give them the money in order for them to go and buy Jo Neves. But moving over to Manuel Ugarte, the news this morning coming up from Fabrizio Romano is that apparently Manchester United are still in talks with PSG for Manuel Ugarte. So the deal isn't off as it stands at the moment, but the price is still the big problem. And we've been saying this for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And it's just getting frustrating now. So Fabrizio said Manchester United remain in discussions with PSG for Manuel Ugarte after the player gave the green light and agreed personal terms last week. So he wants to come to Manchester United. He's told PSG he wants to leave. He's agreed on wages. He's agreed on his role in the squad. Apparently he spoke to Erik ten Hag. It says that there is still no agreement between the two clubs yet. But obviously with PSG now agreeing this deal for Jo Neves, they already have his replacement. Jo Neves is Manuel Ugarte's replacement, realistically, So they're going to need to get him off their wage books now, Manuel Ugarte, because he was on the bench in the second half of last season. So if they're bringing in another midfielder, he's going to be even further down the pecking order, isn't he? So it's a really annoying situation, this, because our preseason tour starts, is it on Sunday morning, the first game? And we play Man City in the Copa, I nearly said in the Copa America. We play Man City in the Community Shield 2 weeks tomorrow, I believe it is. I might be mistaken. Let me just double check. Yeah, 2 weeks tomorrow on the 10th of August. And I know people will say, the Community Shield's effectively just a charity game. It's a friendly. But I would like to win the Community Shield. I really would. And some might even argue, and this isn't me being negative, this is me trying to have a conversation. Some might even argue that at this point, right now, Is our team stronger than what it was when we played in the Community Shield? In the FA Cup final right now. We've brought in Lenny Yoro, who replaces Varane. I would say he's a like-for-like replacement. Obviously, in the long run, Lenny Yoro is a better player, but like I don't think we can hands on our heart say that Lenny Yoro is better than Varane at this moment in time. And Xerxes, as great as he's going to be, you're not going to have Xerxes and Højlund starting in the same game anyway. And Højlund didn't even play in the FA Cup final. He was benched. It was Bruno. So as it stands at the moment, I actually think we're potentially weaker because we've lost Amrabat. And Amrabat was a key part of that victory over Man City. So the point I'm trying to make here is we really, really need to go out and get Manuel Ugarte signed because there's an important game 2 weeks tomorrow. Okay? 2 weeks tomorrow, we have to win this Community Shield, I think. I think it starts the season. And I know it's just a friendly, and I know people are like, it's the Community Shield, why do you care? But I still think it's important. And I think if we lose that Community Shield game, there's already going to be negativity. Not from me, but there will be. You know it, 100%. If we go and lose to Man City badly 2 weeks tomorrow, there'll be people like, we made the wrong decision, blah, blah. Like, you can already see people writing the headlines, right? I said this a couple of weeks ago. Even if Erik ten Hag wins the Premier League this season, there'll still be pundits complaining about him, saying that, you know, he bought Anthony for too much money. His talent ID is not very good. Like, blah, blah, blah. He didn't deal with Sancho properly. Like, you can already see people planning ahead that if Manchester United are successful this season, they'll be writing negative headlines. And if we're not successful, they'll also be writing negative headlines. So the point I'm trying to make here is we've got to go into that Community Shield game like it's an FA Cup final, because that is still a trophy. And I know it's just a friendly, but I don't care. I want to win that game. And I think we desperately need Manuel Ugarte or Zubimendi or Amrabat. We need one of these players or Fofana. We need them in by that game, available, fit, because otherwise who's going to play in midfield? It's probably going to be McTominay, realistically. It'll probably be Mainu. I mean, Mainu might not even be available. Remember that. I'm not trying to scare you this morning, but Mainu, Luke Shaw, Bruno, Dallo, none of them are back in training. And we play a game 2 weeks tomorrow, a proper game. So I don't know when they're back in training. I think it's sometime next week. So they might only have like 1 week's worth of training and have no preseason game before. So it's going to be tight. It is going to be tight. And then literally like 5 days later, we play our first Premier League game. 3 weeks today, the Premier League season kicks off against Fulham. I mean, that's crazy, isn't it? Literally 3 weeks today is our first Premier League game. And I know so far the mood has been positive around the club, I think, this summer, and rightly so. You know, I think Ineos have done a good job so far. And I think a lot of the delays is not actually on their part. A lot of their delays is because of PSG being unrealistic. It's about the same with Bayern Munich. It's about them being unrealistic about De Ligt. And we need these clubs to kind of get a grip, really, and lower their wage demands. And lower their asking prices for these players, because otherwise, effectively, in a month's time, we're still going to be sat here probably talking about Ugarte and probably talking about De Ligt, and the season will have started. And you never know, we might have got off to a bad start. You know, we might lose the Community Shield, lose our first game in the Premier League, and then next thing you know, it's a disaster. So we really, really need to get some stuff sorted. I know other teams like Liverpool haven't signed any players yet, but let's be honest, Liverpool have got a better squad than us already, so they don't need to do as much business as we do, if you think about it. I know people will say, Man City haven't signed. I mean, Man City have signed someone, to be fair. Arsenal have signed somebody, haven't they? They've got that Calafiori guy. But the thing is, we finished 8th last season. We've got a squad of ageing players who are overpaid, most of which need to go. Obviously, we've got rid of quite a fair few of those people, but, you know, we've still got Casemiro, we've still got McTominay, Lindelof, Maguire. There's probably some others I've forgotten. Like, we still probably have 6 or 7 players that need to be leaving this summer. And it doesn't really seem like at the moment that much is happening on the outgoing. So, yeah, we'll wait and see what happens with all of that. But let's see who is in the chat this morning. If everyone who's just joined the video could do me a small favour and smash a like, that'd be really, really appreciated. I've set a likes target of 1,000 for today's video, so if you can go and do that. Simon says you're so negative. I am probably the most unnegative person on YouTube, I would say. I'm just stating a fact. We play our first game against Man City 2 weeks tomorrow, and we don't have a CDM. Like, surely that's just factual. I don't know what's negative about that. Like, we won that we won that FA Cup because of how we set up, because we had Amrabat. Amrabat was really, really good in that game, right? And now we don't have Amrabat. So I honestly think at the moment we need to get these things over the line. But anyway, I'll move on from that. Let's move over to Matthias de Ligt quickly then. So again, just like Manuel Ugarte, the situation remains the same with de Ligt. Bayern Munich have come out in the last couple of days saying that apparently we have to pay the 42 million, otherwise we're not going to get him. And now, my expectation or my hope is that Ineos just say, you know what? We're not doing this. They walk away and they go and sign someone else. Because at the moment, I think we're just being taken for fools by some of these teams, PSG and Bayern Munich. The Lenny Yoro deal was amazing. The mood that day was absolutely unbelievable. What a signing that was. The Joshua Zirkzee deal, I think, was amazing. Great value for money. But I've said this many, many times before. Manuel Ugarte and de Ligt, at the price that they're currently quoted at, isn't good value in the market. It isn't. 70 million euros for a player at PSG, Manuel Ugarte, who they want to get rid of, and they've already signed his replacement. Like, that's not good value. And Matthias de Ligt, again, they don't want him. He wants to leave. So we can only hope that the further the window goes on, the price will come down. But it's a massive risk. If Manchester United want to start the season with a bang, which I think we all want us to do, then we need to get some stuff done, you know? I don't think 2 signings is going to get us particularly far. And I think it is starting to kind of hit home a little bit with some people, isn't it? And I know rival fans will be like, oh, why are you complaining? Liverpool haven't signed anybody. But the point I'm trying to make here is our squad is so far behind the rest. We can all agree that, can't we? You know, we haven't won a Premier League title in 10 years, over 10 years. Like, we are so far behind squad-wise. We're confident in in some areas, like our right wing position. We've got like 6 or 7 options. Our central attacking midfield option. Obviously, we've got Bruno, we've got Mount, we've got Eriksen. Like, we've got good options there. But it's mainly the centre back and the CDM and kind of the right back and left back where I think we're really struggling. And effectively, when you have a team that conceded so many goals last season and a team that conceded so many shots last season, we desperately need to strengthen those areas. And I'm sure Ineos are working behind the scenes at it. You know, I'm sure they're sat here this morning worried as well, thinking we need to get some deals done. Obviously, the Euros and the Copa America hasn't helped us because the season starts so quickly. And to think that our first game is 3 weeks today and we've got 2 signings through the door, like, obviously that's great. I'm happy with 2 signings, but I don't think it's going to take us from going, you know, from 8th to 1st, is it? You know, like Man City on paper still have a better team than us. Liverpool still have a better team than us. Arsenal do, you know. I would even argue Chelsea do as well, to be honest. Like, Chelsea have got some really good players. I know last season didn't work for Chelsea, but Chelsea are going to come back stronger this season. They still finished above us last year, but yeah. Okay, let's see what people are saying in the chat this morning. There's people talking about Harry Maguire. Yeah, we'll talk about Maguire in a minute. The realistically, right, the problem is that we have so many players that need to go, but we're just struggling to sell them. That's effectively the problem here. And that's not really Ineos' fault. And just to be very, very clear, this isn't me ranting about Ineos. This is more just... It's more just a feeling of frustration than a feeling of, you know, if anything, we need to point the finger at the Glazers, really, and John Murtaugh and Richard Arnold and Ed Woodward. Like, they're the ones who are to blame here. Because the reality of the matter is, there are probably 7 players who need to leave the club this summer. We spoke about those 7 on the stream last night, but Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Casemiro, Anthony, Eriksen, McTominay. I'd say those 7 players need to go, right? If all 7 of them left, we could go and sign de Ligt, we could sign Ugarte, you could probably get Branthwaite, you could probably get a new left back, a new right back. Like, we could literally turn our squad from what it is now into an unbelievable team. I genuinely think that. But it's easy for me to sit behind the camera and say, oh, we need to sell all these players. But in reality, like we'll talk about Maguire in a minute, a lot of these players are just holding out. They don't want to go, or they want more money, or no club's willing to pay their wages. You know, Jadon Sancho is another one I forgot. But let's talk about Harry Maguire really quickly then. So Harry Maguire has done an interview Where is he? Harry Maguire. There you are. So Harry Maguire has been asked about his future at Manchester United. So this is a direct quote from Harry Maguire. He says, "To be honest, everything I've heard so far from Ineos is that I'm part of the future here at Manchester United." He says, "I'm ready to fight for the biggest trophies and stay at the club." I don't know what to say to that. Now, is he just saying that because he has to say that? Has he genuinely been told that? It seems strange to me, but then if you think about it, who's going to buy Maguire? We spoke about this before. He's on 200 grand a week. He's got 1 year left of his deal. Maybe they have said to him, you know what, Harry, stay for another year and then you can leave for free next summer, you know? Maybe that's what they've said. But yeah, it is a little bit strange. I don't know why Harry Maguire would come out and say that publicly if he genuinely, if he genuinely hadn't been told that he was staying. You know, if they said you're up for sale, why would he come out and say that I'm staying? Like, that would just be a bit of a weird thing to do, wouldn't it? So, yeah, I was a little bit surprised by that this morning, but when you actually kind of take a deep breath and think about it, maybe he has been told to stay. Because maybe Manchester United have realised they're not going to get 3 new centre-backs this summer. You know, they're not going to get Branthwaite, De Ligt and Lenny Yoro. They might just get one of De Ligt or Branthwaite. And they may only be able to sell Lindelof or Maguire. Lindelof's the more likely option to leave in that department, really. Maguire, I don't think was going to go. As he's just said, he's been told he's going to stay. Whereas Lindelof, I would say 90% sure Lindelof will go this summer. I would be very, very surprised if Lindelof's still here. But at the moment, it does kind of feel like we need to sell to buy. And I think that's kind of been forgotten about a little bit. That last summer, it was the same, wasn't it? We need to get some players out of the club before we can buy players. You know, Sancho's, McTominay's. Like, there are players there that we can bring some money in for. So, yeah, we'll wait and see how that all progresses. Brian says he's not for sale because we can't sell him. Yeah, I agree. Rob says, Kieran, why would you want injury-prone De Ligt? I'll be honest with you, mate. I don't really want De Ligt. If you watch these shows regularly, De Ligt was like pretty low down on my list of options. I think I even said I'd prefer Trevor Chalobah to De Ligt. I'd prefer that David Hanko guy to De Ligt. I would prefer Antonio Silva to De Ligt. I like De Ligt, but his injuries worry me. 20 injuries per season over the last 4 years, every year. Big wages, big transfer fee. So, yeah, I would have moved on to a different target by now. And the more it goes on, the more I feel like maybe Ineos don't have the money to be able to go and do these deals at the moment. Because Manuel Ugarte is there for the taking. De Ligt is there for the taking. But effectively, they don't want to get the deals over the line, which is fine if they think that they're overpriced. But the point I'm making here is there are alternative options available on the market, right? There are alternative players there that we can go and sign. David Hanko, etc., etc. But we don't seem to be wanting to do that, do we? But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what you all think about that. What do you think should happen over the next couple of weeks of the window? Like, what are your priorities? Let me know in the comment section below. I would really like to know your opinions on how the transfer window's gone so far. So yeah, get in the comment section and let me know your thoughts now. I'm going to move over to a couple of other bits that are a bit more positive because I want to try and change the mood of the show a little bit. I want to talk about Frimpong and Antonio Silva because there is a story coming out last night that apparently Manchester United have been offered the chance to sign Jeremy Frimpong. How does everyone feel about that? I would like Jeremy Frimpong, but I don't think he's a right back. I think he's more of a right wing back or a right winger. So Frimpong, yes, but only if maybe Sancho and Pellistri go. Then we could have Frimpong as a right wing option because I think defensively Frimpong lacks massively. But yeah, I would really, really like to see Frimpong at Manchester United, but not as a right back. So this story came out from multiple German outlets. It came out last night, it broke, that apparently Manchester United have been offered the chance to sign Jeremy Frimpong this summer. And he's available for 35 million, which I think is an absolute bargain. Very, very good deal there. I would do it. I would. But as I've said, I think we need to sell players in that position in order to be able to do that deal. And those players would be Jadon Sancho and Pellistri. Obviously, Greenwood's gone, so that's one player gone from the right wing position. But we've still got Anthony, Sancho, Ahmad, Garnacho, Rashford, Pellistri. We've still got 6 players who can play as a right winger. So at the moment, a right wing is not really the priority, I don't think. But yeah, I think if we could get rid of Sancho and Pellistri, I would go in for Jeremy Frimpong. I think he'd be a good addition to that area. I want to talk a little bit about Denzel Dumfries then, really quickly. So obviously we all know that this story broke yesterday about Manchester United swapping Aaron Wan-Bissaka with Inter Milan for Denzel Dumfries. I would love for this to happen. I think it would be a quality signing. David Ornstein was the journalist who broke it yesterday, saying that apparently Aaron Wan-Bissaka has rejected a move to West Ham. West Ham are now signing Mazraoui, which I think is a good signing for them. He's obviously a player that we were looking at. He's joining West Ham for only £13 million. There are still some murmurs that Manchester United might try and hijack the Mazraoui deal, but if they get Denzel Dumfries, obviously they won't need to do that. So yeah, Denzel Dumfries to Manchester United is definitely one to keep an eye on. Apparently Manchester United have wanted to sign him for the last 2 or 3 years. Before even Erik ten Hag was here, he was a target for Manchester United. So it's not another Dutch player who Erik ten Hag's bringing in, by the way. It is somebody who Manchester United have had a long-standing interest in, and somebody who would work well, I think, in the Premier League. He's very physical, he's very strong, and I think he would do really well. So yeah, I would be open to do this Denzel Dumfries swap deal. Whether or not it will happen, I'm not sure. I think when you break down all of the kind of fundamentals of it, like they both have a year left of their contract. They're both on similar wages. They're both a similar age. They're both worth a similar amount of money. Like it ticks all the boxes. But swap deals can be quite complicated sometimes. So as much as I want this deal to happen, do I think it will? Not sure. We'll have to wait and see how that progresses. But at the moment, Denzel Dumfries to Manchester United is definitely one to keep an eye on. And Aaron Wan-Bissaka to Inter Milan is also one to keep an eye on. So yeah, let me know what you think about that in the comment section below. Barman says, when was the last time we did a swap deal? Teams do swap deals. They've done quite a few this season in the Premier League, like Chelsea and Aston Villa have done some, etc., etc. So yeah, there is a chance of some swap deals, you know. But yeah, so we'll wait and see how the Denzel Dumfries to Manchester United story progresses. But at the moment, David Ornstein was the journalist who broke that story yesterday, saying that... and then we've got another story as well, actually, from Simon Jones this morning, saying that Manchester United are now interested in signing Inter Milan right-back Denzel Dumfries. They see him as a potential swap with Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka has been revisited, but talks are not advanced. Dumfries' contract expires next summer. So it's another one to keep an eye on, but... Again, I think it's just another player we're linked to at the moment. That's probably as far as it will go. Whether or not we'll get the man, I don't know. Moving on to Jadon Sancho. Apparently, Manchester United think they will still sell Sancho this summer. I know some people were absolutely outraged when the news broke that he was going to stay at the club and were saying, you know, what the hell is going on? It's a disgrace. He should never wear the shirt again. And I get it. I get people's frustration. Like... I understand that it feels like Jadon Sancho has wronged us, you know? It feels like he's done something which is unforgivable. And I do feel like that. But if we can't sell him, then we're stuck with him, aren't we, effectively? But this is coming out from Chris Wheeler this morning, and he's saying that the feeling is that Manchester United will sell Jadon Sancho this summer if they get an offer close to the £40 million asking price. It says Sancho is one of the players they would sacrifice to strengthen in other areas, as he has multiple players ahead of him in the squad, which I would agree with. You know, you've got Ahmad, Garnacho, Rashford. They would all start over Sancho on the right wing at the moment. And probably even Anthony would. I personally would start Sancho over Anthony, but obviously Erik ten Hag seems to like Anthony. So, yeah. Ant says, if it comes from one of the lads from The Athletic, you can put your house on it. They are always top tier. Yeah, for sure. The Athletic are always very reliable. He's obviously talking about the Denzel Dumfries story. So, yeah, they are some of the more reliable ones. James says, how does a swap deal affect financial fair play? I imagine the swap deal would be they would buy each other's players off each other. I don't think they would actually physically swap, if that makes sense. But I might be wrong. You know, it would be like Man United will buy Dumfries for 15 million and Wan-Bissaka would go to Inter Milan for 15 million, something like that. So it's like, you know, it's of the same value. But yeah, obviously Sancho's away on the pre-season tour at the moment. Back to Sancho. Like, I don't know. there's a lot of business still to be done in the final month of the window. And I think it's going to be really, really busy for Manchester United, because I'd be very, very surprised if Erik ten Hag and Ineos and Dan Ashworth are happy to start the season with the team we have now. I think they will definitely want to strengthen, for sure. Because at the moment, like I said, if you compare where we were last season to where we are now, we've got rid of Varane, which was the correct decision, and we've replaced him with Lenny Yoro, right? So it's kind of a like-for-like replacement, realistically. And we've brought in another striker who's effectively replaced Martial. So at the moment, we've got rid of a decent amount of players, but I wouldn't necessarily say that we're in a better position. Would you agree? And that's not me being negative. That's just me giving my opinion. Like, if we'd signed 5 or 6 players, a CDM, another centre-back, a right-back, a left-back, I'd be like, yeah, we've strengthened massively. But at the moment, we have signed good players, but I wouldn't say it's taken us from here to here. We're kind of just almost in the same area, Like, we can't honestly expect Man United to win the league now based on 2 signings in 2 positions. Can you? I always thought that this summer we'd need, anywhere between 5 and 10 players to be kind of going to that next level. And you'd need at least 10 players leaving. Quite a few players have obviously left already, which has been good. But that clearly still is limiting what Manchester United can spend, Because even though we've let go of Donny, Brandon Williams, etc., we still seem to be a little bit now in a position where we have to sell to buy. That's kind of what's coming out, isn't it? That, Manchester United needs Sancho to go to be able to buy another centre-back. They need McTominay to go to buy a new midfielder. So yeah, it's a little bit confusing, and it would be good to kind of understand what the actual budget was for this summer. But I guess we'll never find that out, will we? Well, we'll only find that out at the end of the window. Because some people were saying we only had 50 to 100 million, which maybe is right. And if you look at what we've sold so far, right? We've sold Mason Greenwood for 30 million euros. We sold Willy Kambwala for 10 and Alvaro Fernandez for 6. So we've done 46 million euros in sales so far. And then we've bought 2 players for about 100 million. So our net spend so far is about 50 million euros this summer, which is what, 40 million pounds. So we haven't actually spent very much. And I know people will say, oh, you bought Lenny Yoro for 70 million pounds and make up a fake price. But if you actually get the facts together, I've got all the fees up on my screen right now. 50 million euros for Lenny Yoro and 42 million euros for Joshua Zirkzee. That's 92 million euros combined. And then we've done 46 million in sales. Plus, obviously, we've removed Rafael Varane and Martial, who were on 600 grand a week combined. That was about 40 million a year in wages gone there. So we haven't actually spent that much yet. Mainu says, have you checked out the new away kit? Yeah, it's starting to grow on me, the away kit. It is. Let's have a look. What else have we got here? Let's see what else people are saying in the chat. Versatile United says, how can you compare Lenny Yoro with Varane? Wow. Are you saying that Varane's better, or are you saying that Lenny Yoro's better? I'm not really sure what your point is there. Obviously, Varane, over the last decade, is one of the best centre-backs probably of all time, right? And Lenny Yoro is a player with potential. So what I meant was we've replaced Varane with Lenny Yoro, haven't we? Lenny Yoro will be our starting centre-back. Some people will say that he's better. Some people will say he's worse, People are saying that the away kit is lovely. Jay says, I don't think we've made the team stronger yet. Maybe do a poll on it. Yeah, I can do a poll if you want. Some people don't like the polls. I don't know why, but some people seem to be getting a bit upset about the polls. I can do it if you want. Go on then. It's getting towards the end of the show. Do you think our current squad is stronger than last season? If you're watching back on repeat, obviously you can let me know in the comment section. Everyone who's still watching today's video, please make sure you smash a like. We've only got 200 likes and we've got about 800 people watching. So please go and do that if you haven't already. And make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're only 5 away from 33,400. So please go and subscribe. Let's get to that next milestone. And yeah, you can get involved in the poll and let me know your thoughts on where we are so far. Ross says, how is our team weaker than last season? I'm asking the question, mate. I'm not saying it is. I'm asking you to give your opinion. That's the point of the poll. I'm asking you, do you think the squad is better than it is at this point last season? That's the point of the question. And we're supposed to, as a community, have a conversation about it. Well, we can go through it, can't we? So we've signed 2 players, okay? We've signed Lenny Yoro and Joshua Zirkzee. Do we all agree on that? And we've let go of Mason Greenwood, Willy Campoala, Fernandes, Donny van der Beek, Omari Forson, Rafael Varane, Anthony Martial, Shola Shira-Tire, and Brandon Williams. So, I mean, based off that very basic logic there, we've got rid of 9 players. I know some of which are squad players, some of which are young players, whatever. We've got rid of 9, and we've signed 2. I don't know. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm trying to have a conversation here. Based off what we've just said there, do we think signing Lenny Yoro and Joshua Zirkzee puts us in a better position than we were last season when you consider that Varane's gone, obviously Martial contributed nothing last season. Varane's gone, Willy Campoala's gone. Both of those played quite a lot of minutes last season. Brandon Williams contributed nothing. Shola Shire contributed nothing. Omari Forson did. Donny van der Beek did. We've got rid of a lot of players who needed to go, but they were still squad players who were around the club. I still think this could be one of our biggest windows in the last decade. I do. I still feel very, very positive about how the rest of the window is going to go. But at the moment, I feel Ineos' frustration. I feel like they're all sat there saying, we need to sell players, and they can't because they're all on stupid contracts. No one wants to buy them. And I feel like they're in a very frustrating position. But we just have to hope and pray that some miracles come. We have to hope that an Everton come in with a big bid for Maguire. Fulham come back in for McTominay. Like, things can happen. We might, in an hour's time, we might get a story saying that Fulham have put in a bid for McTominay, and then everything might change. It's a domino effect in football, isn't it? The first piece of the domino fell last night when João Neves agreed to go to PSG. That now means that Manuel Ugarte to Manchester United will most likely happen, And it could be exactly the same at Manchester United. A couple of dominoes will fall, and next thing you know, we're signing 5, 6, 7 players. But at the moment, I imagine Ineos are scratching their head saying, we need to get rid of some people, and we need to do it now. But I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. It's been a good show this morning. I know people are getting frustrated because there's lots of the same stories being circulated, but obviously I can only bring you the news that's available. I'm not going to make up transfer stories just to make the shows better. Like, I just can't do that. I can only bring you the news we have. But yeah, I'll be back at 1:30, hopefully with some more good news, some outgoings, hopefully something. Please make sure to smash a like on the video before you leave. Please subscribe to the channel if you are new. Thank you very much for watching. I'll speak to you all at 1:30. Bye for now.